Email is still one of the most popular forms of communication in your daily life, on your mobile device, day to day. Email is the only way to communicate in business. Well, it's not the only way, but it is one of the ways that people choose to communicate in business or personal, with friends, with family, with people you don't even know. I get cold calls through emails all day, every day. It's actually pretty frustrating. But is Protonmail worth it, or should you just stick with free email services like Gmail and Yahoo? Is it Big Purple or Little Purple? We're going to decide today in Operation Secure Email. I think right off the bat it's worth noting that governments don't even use email for the most part. And they certainly do not use it for a secure form of communication, because it is not. You've got SMTP, you've got POP3, and you've got later on IMAP. Now, if we go back to the beginning, email were sent text, and in a lot of emails they're still sent plain text. So if you're able to capture the traffic on an email server, you've literally got text files. Email's come a long way, but it was never really invented to be as private and secure as a lot of people would like. Now, we know that big companies that give you free email, whether it's your carrier on internet or your cell phone, or maybe it's a Gmail or some other big carrier, when you get something for free, you are the product. They scan your emails for marketing, and they claim that they don't read them, a machine reads them, and that's supposed to make it better. And everyone knows these big companies are not secure, but are companies like Protonmail that offer end-to-end encryption actually secure? Does anybody know what end-to-end encryption even means? Well, some do, some don't. But at the end of the day, you look at something like PGP and talking about these incredibly encrypted files and this unbelievable email server, but then other people say that Protonmail is just a branch of the CIA, that it was created by the CIA to be able to capture people who are trying to do nefarious things and use email as communication. It's a Swiss company. I'm a happy customer. I don't commit any crimes, and I'm not trying to do any crazy stuff. Did the FBI compromise Protonmail? I have no idea. Some people say they do. Some people say they couldn't even if they wanted to. I don't necessarily believe that. I think if they wanted to, they absolutely could. Have they? Who knows? I don't know. But I'm still a customer for a few reasons. Now I'm going to break down why I'm a customer, and whether or not you should be, it's debatable. Depends on what you're looking to do on email. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind. Protonmail is at its strongest when you send Protonmail to Protonmail. So if I know that Bob has Protonmail and James has Gmail, well, if you're sending Protonmail to Protonmail, the quality of encryption is certainly going to be better than Gmail, because Gmail is the weak link. So when I send that email to him, he has it, he opens it on Gmail, that's the weak link. Sending email in general is the weak link. Now we've, like I stated, come a long way since plain text files, although there still is a lot of email in plain text files, shockingly enough. But even if you have a standard encryption, when do these emails actually become secure, and is it worth paying? Well, the first thing I'll say about Protonmail is they do have a free plan, which I recommend to anybody check out. You've got companies like Protonmail in Switzerland and Tutnote in Germany. Now, a lot of people say, well, the federal government can still get to them. I mean, I think we can all agree that the United States federal government, the most powerful entity on earth, with enough pressure can get to anyone, anywhere, for anything. So it is what it is. Now, we've seen other companies like LavaBit, famously the email provider of Edward Snowden, go out of business, not going to provide documents. We've seen other email providers say, look, actually keeping customer data private is not possible, and we can't comply with the government with these subpoenas, and so we're going to go out of business. And we've seen that a lot. Having private, safe, and secure email servers doesn't seem to be a thing. So did Protonmail create this 1 in a million company, or is it just hype and it's just marketing? The honest answer is I don't know, because I don't know anybody at Protonmail. Like I said, I am a happy customer. I do like Protonmail. I think it's a great service. It's one of the email clients I use, and I'm a paying customer, not just a free plan, but a paying customer. But the reason I pay is I use that email service with clients. Now, There's two ways to look at this. There's one way, well, if Protonmail is not 100% secure, then I don't want it. Well, what's the alternative? You could do your own email server, but I think for most people that is ridiculous. I don't think most of you are going to create your own email server, and if you are, good luck to you, that's awesome. But for 99.9% of people, even tech-savvy people, creating your own email server is ridiculous. So what are good options? Well, we have a couple of good encrypted options. Now, I've seen that a lot of people are trying to migrate to companies that aren't located in America for security and privacy. Keep in mind, if you're an American citizen, the laws that kind of you live by, they don't have any borders. They don't have any bounds. If the federal government wants you bad enough, they will get you no matter where you are. There's no non-extradition anywhere, under any circumstance. I've talked to a lot of people in alphabet agencies over the years, and there's this weird thing where I'm going to go to this you think these islands, the federal government's going to drop a suitcase of money and say, give us our guy or we'll wipe you off the island? You really think the federal government is going to be like, oh, darn it, shucks, this island said we can't get you, so we're the most powerful entity in the world. We break all of the laws, but this tiny island that we could take over by lunch if we wanted to is going to stop us. They won't be stopped. This is not some fake Hollywood movie where you have some sanctuary in some island. And it certainly is not Switzerland. In fact, most private banks won't deal with American citizens in Switzerland, specifically offshore banking, because the American laws are so strict and so stringent that it isn't even worth their time unless you have 8 figures, like serious money to put in their banks. It isn't even worth dealing with Americans. Most countries around the world don't even want to deal with Americans because our government puts so much pressure on them that they don't want to play that game because they know they're going to lose. So do I think that Protonmail wouldn't turn over my information? No. And that's what I'm getting at. You've got 3 things to consider. The one thing is, I don't think Protonmail would have any choice. And I think if the federal government came and said, hey, we need Cody Hawk's email, they're not going to be like, no, that's not going to happen. They're going to get my email. They're going to get all the information. They can say, well, we don't have it. I don't think that they will rip these things apart. So I just don't believe it. I don't believe that it's not possible for the federal government to get at my email. Thing 2, Protonmail to Protonmail is much more secure, as we've already stated, than Protonmail to any other mail. So if you want actual encryption, that's your best bet if you're trying to send something secret or personal. Notice I said secret or personal. If it comes to things that can incriminate you, first of all, I hope you're not committing any crimes. Second of all, if you're in some weird gray area for some reason, who am I to judge? What I hope is you're not using email because it's not secure, not even Protonmail. None of them. You should not be using email for anything that could come back to haunt you because email is not secure. I recommend looking at email as public record almost. Do you want everyone reading your emails? No. Are you going to take efforts to try to stop that? Yes. But if they do come out, it'd be like, oh, that's a bummer. That's too bad. It's kind of like if a bad picture comes out. You're like, oh, that's not a great picture. I wish I would have took a better picture. You know what I mean? But you don't want to have anything in there that's really gonna affect your life, because email is not secure. Do I think Protonmail is part of the CIA? No, I really don't. I think that's kind of the default for conspiracy theorists. They say everything's part of the CIA. But do I think they can get to Protonmail? Without question. Without question. Do I think Protonmail would comply? I do. I have no reason to think otherwise, because the fact is, why wouldn't they? Why would they deal with all the pressure? Why would they deal with the weight of that? I just don't see it. I just don't see it. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. And look, like I said, I'm a happy customer with so many email providers who've tried to have private secure email. We've even had famously one person in the federal government have email servers in his or her bathroom. And we all know how that turned out. So the reality is email is not secure. PGP is popular, encryption standard, and used to be incredibly complex, but because of leaks that came out with Edward Snowden and things that were brought to light, more software, more developing, the encryption standards are always getting better and better, which is great for the average person. I feel like when you get something for free, you are the product. You all know that. When you pay for something, at least you can demand a certain level of quality. And if that merchant doesn't provide a certain level of quality, you can take your business elsewhere. And I've talked about this before. When I use a service like Protonmail or Tutnota, I use my own domain. So, for example, codyhawk.com. If somebody emails me there, if I decide to take codyhawk.com from Tutnota to Protonmail or to Fastmail or to Startmail or to MailFence or whoever I decided to use, it wouldn't matter because my email is still cody@codyhawk.com. So the fact that I use the domain, I don't really change my email. I could just change who I use for my email provider. But I've been happy with Protonmail. Do I recommend them? Look, I feel like just because something's not perfect doesn't mean you should throw it all out the window. This isn't either way 0 or 100. To me, even if Protonmail is only 85 or 90%, that's a lot better than the alternative. And I'll pay the small yearly fee for something that's really good than something that's garbage for free. And even though it's not perfect, and I don't think it's perfect, I think it's not so much about Protonmail. I think it's about you should be making sure you're not sending anything secretive through email, because email isn't as private as you probably think. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit the thumbs up. Making new videos here on Privacy X every single day. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.